In this video, we're going to go through problems A, C, and E on your worksheet. This will give us a good representation of all of the things that you need to know for the 2.0 level solving equations. So this first one is nice because we have variables on both sides and we have constants on both sides. And so for these type, you can move whatever makes the most sense for you to move first. I typically move the variable first, so I will choose like either move this or I'll move this. And then I make that choice based on if there is a negative, because I like to get rid of negatives if I can. I also know some people just like to work left to right, so they pick something on the left and they move that to the right. I know some people like to just get rid of any negatives, whether it's a variable or not. So it's up to you what you move. You could move any of these four things by doing the inverse. So because 7 is positive, you could subtract it from both sides. Because 4 is negative, 4m is negative, you could add it to both sides. Because 3m is positive, you could subtract it from both sides. And because 28 is positive, you could subtract it from both sides. So you kind of just have to figure out what is happening and then how do I undo that with the inverse. So like I said, I like to start with the variables and I'll choose whichever one is negative if there is a negative one. And so you can see that this one is negative, and so I'm going to start by moving that one, doing the inverse of addition. If it helps you to have that line down the middle, please do that so that you know when we add to both sides what that means. You can actually physically see it. On this side, I have 7. And then those cancel, so I have equals 3m plus 4m gives me 7m plus 28. Once I've moved my first piece, then I have to make an educated choice on which of these to move. You can see that this one is already alone, and so I have to figure out which one of these is friends with this 7. In this case, since this is a constant, I want to move the constant. So I'm going to subtract 28 from both sides. So 7 minus 28 gives me negative 21 equals 7m, and those cancel. So now I have, I'm trying to get m by itself. That's my whole goal of solving equations, is to get the variable alone. And in order to get m by itself, 7 and m are being squished together, which means that they're being multiplied. And so we have to think, like, what is the inverse of multiplication? And that inverse is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 7. Negative 21 divided by 7 gives me negative 3. And then we have m on the right-hand side. Once you have m by itself, then you are done with that problem. So now let's do problem C. Problem C I like because it has parentheses. And whenever we see parentheses, that's going to be our very first step, and we are going to use the distributive property. So we are going to distribute whatever is out in front to whatever is on the inside using multiplication. So I'm going to distribute the 4 to the m to get 4m. Then I'm going to distribute the 4 to the minus 3 to get minus 12. And then we have equals negative 8. So whenever you have parentheses, you're going to use the distributive property, and you're just multiplying in whatever's on the outside to whatever's on the inside. Then you're going to solve it the same way that we did with that problem before, where we're trying to get m by itself. And we're working outside in. So in this case, only one of these is friends with this minus 8. Since minus 8 is a constant, I want to move my constant by adding 12 to both sides. So I get 4m equals 4. Again, since we have these two squished together, that means multiplication. And to undo that, I use division. So my answer is m equals 1. So that was the distributive property. Whenever you have parentheses, you're going to do that. And our last problem we're going to go through is problem E. And this one I chose because it has a fraction. And so with fractions, you have two choices, and I'm going to very quickly show you both. What I like to do is I like to get rid of the constant first. Like I like to get rid of anything else besides the fraction before I do anything with the fraction. So I would add 10 to both sides to get x over 4 equals 8. And then remember, fractions, those mean division, and so then we have to think about, well, what is the inverse of division? And that is multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by 4. Those cancel, and we're left with x equals 32. And so I said there was another way you could do that, and that was if you wanted to get rid of the fraction right away, you can. You just have to make sure that when you are multiplying to get rid of the fraction, you have to multiply all of the pieces. So if it was a huge equation, you have to multiply every single piece. In this case, we multiply all 3 pieces, and we would get x minus 40 equals negative 8. And then you could get rid of this minus 40 by adding 40. And you get the same answer. So whichever one you like better is fine with me. I prefer this just so I don't forget to multiply, but that is up to you. So I hope this helped. I want you to finish the worksheet for this lesson and then go do the exit ticket so we can see if you have got it down now. Good luck.